If you think Bessie is just a rusty prop used to teach Lightning McQueen a lesson, you are dead wrong. The reality is that Bessie is a nightmare of biological horror hiding in plain sight. She isn't a machine. She is a victim of forced surgical torture, and I'm going to prove it. Here's the problem. In this universe, sentience is defined by the windshield eyes and the bumper mouth. That is the biological rule. If you have eyes, you are alive. If you don't, you are an object. Bessie has no eyes. She has no mouth. She has no windshield. She is a solid block of industrial metal. By all the laws of their world, she should be dead. She should be nothing more than a toaster or a hammer, but she isn't. Throughout the film, we see undeniable proof that she is alive. When McQueen pulls her too fast, she gets angry. When she gets angry, she doesn't just malfunction, she spitefully and accurately spits boiling tar directly onto his paint. And the most disturbing part, when she burns him, she laughs. Listen closely to the sound design in those scenes. That bubbling, gurgling noise isn't just hydraulics, it is a laugh. So, ask yourself this: if she is an object, how does she feel anger? How does she aim that tar? And if she is a living, thinking creature like Mater or Sally, why does she have no face? Why is she the only one in town stripped of the ability to speak or see? This isn't an animation error. This is a prison. I have spent weeks analyzing the darkest corners of the Pixar lore, digging up deleted scenes that Disney tried to scrub from existence, and studying the medical theories behind how these cars actually function. And what I found regarding Bessie isn't just sad, it is absolutely stomach-turning. We are not dealing with a simple machine here. We are dealing with a victim of forced industrial surgery. You see, most people think the Cars universe is a cute alternative reality, but if you peel back the paint, you realize it is actually a post-apocalyptic wasteland where biology and machinery have fused in the most grotesque way possible. To understand who, or what, Bessie really is, we have to understand where the humans went. And more importantly, we have to talk about the terrifying concept of the homunculus theory. By the end of this video, I'm going to prove to you that Bessie wasn't built this way, she was made this way. We are going to uncover the medical diagnosis hidden in her name, the deleted scene that proves cars can be lobotomized, and the horrifying truth about what is actually boiling inside her tank. Forget everything you think you know about Radiator Springs. The reality beats your expectations, but this time, the reality is pure fuel-injected horror. Let's pop the hood. To understand the nightmare of Bessie, we have to stop looking at these characters as cute, magical vehicles and start looking at them as biological organisms. Because once you apply even a single drop of evolutionary logic to this universe, the whole thing rots from the inside out. Let's look at the physical evidence. I want you to visualize Lightning McQueen or Doc Hudson right now. Really look at their chassis. What do you see? You see side view mirrors, you see door handles, you see clearly defined windows. Now, stop and ask yourself the question that breaks the entire simulation. Why would a sentient, autonomous mechanical being need a door handle on the outside of its body? Think about it. If you are a car, and you are alive, and you have no thumbs, and none of your friends have thumbs, who is that handle for? Who is supposed to open that door? In biology, we call these vestigial structures, like the appendix in a human or the hip bones in a whale. They are useless leftovers from an ancestor that used to need them. This tells us something definitive. The cars didn't just appear out of thin air. They evolved from us. Or, more accurately, they consumed us. This brings us to the homunculus theory. It is the only explanation that fits the physical facts of the Pixar timeline. The theory suggests that the world of Cars is Earth thousands of years in the future, after a biological apocalypse. The atmosphere became toxic, or a plague wiped out everything that wasn't hermetically sealed. So, what did humanity do? We did what we always do. We got into our cars, we locked the doors, and we never got out. Over thousands of years, the relationship between the machine and the driver shifted from parasitic to symbiotic. We stopped being the drivers, and we became the central nervous system. The theory posits that inside every single character you see on screen, there is a genetically modified, atrophied human, a homunculus fused into the machinery. This is why they have handles. It's a genetic memory of when the shell could be opened. But now, those doors are sealed shut. We know this because in an interview, a Pixar animator admitted they never have the cars open their doors because, quote, The brain is inside. This changes everything. When you look at Lightning McQueen's eyes, you aren't looking at a digital screen. You are looking at a magnifying glass. The windshield is a giant optical lens. Inside the cabin, the human creature is strapped into a white helmet, and what you are seeing are the actual biological human eyes magnified 10 times, darting back and forth. This explains the movement. It explains why the cars lean into turns. It's the body weight of the organism inside shifting. It explains why they speak English. It explains why they have distinct accents and cultural habits. They are us, twisted and warped by metal. And it gets worse when you think about biology. If there is organic matter inside, it needs to feed. They drink gas and oil, yes, but the internal combustion engine has been repurposed. It's a digestive system. The fuel is converted into a nutrient paste to keep the wetware, the brain, alive. And if they eat, they must excrete. That black smoke coming out of the tailpipe? That isn't just carbon monoxide, my friends. That is vaporized biological waste. So, we have established the baseline horror. A car is not a robot. A car is an exoskeleton for a mutated biological prisoner. It is a fusion of flesh and steel. Now, take that horrifying reality and apply it to Bessie. If Lightning McQueen is a high-end suit of armor with a human inside, capable of seeing the world and speaking his mind, what is Bessie? She has no windshield. That means the lens is painted over. She has no doors. That means the seam is welded shut. She has no voice box. If the homunculus theory holds true, and it has to for this universe to make sense, then there is something organic inside Bessie too, but it has been walled in. It has been sealed in complete darkness, stripped of its ability to communicate, stripped of its ability to see, and forced to drag a massive tank of boiling tar behind it for eternity. This isn't just a background character anymore. This is a victim of the most extreme form of sensory deprivation imaginable. And the question you should be asking right now isn't why she doesn't talk. The question is, who put her in there? And what did she do to deserve a fate worse than the scrapyard? Because, as we are about to find out, in this universe, anatomy is destiny. And Bessie's anatomy suggests a surgical punishment that is almost too dark to describe. Now, we have to go deeper. If these things are alive, if there is a squishy biological pilot fused inside that metal shell, we have to ask the most dangerous question of all. Where is the brain? Where is the consciousness actually located? For years, people debated this in forums. Is the car the body and the engine the heart? Or is the whole thing just one organism? The answer comes from a terrifying admission by a Pixar animator in a documentary called Pixar Studio Stories. They were trying to figure out how Lightning McQueen could hold a map if he doesn't have hands. One animator suggested he could just open his door and hold it with the latch. The idea was immediately shot down. And the reason they gave is nightmare fuel. They said, quote, "He cannot open his doors because that is where his brains are." Let that sink in. The soft gray matter that makes McQueen who he is spread out inside the door panels in the cabin. This implies that the interior of these cars isn't empty space. It is filled with biological tissue. This is further proven by a deleted scene called Hiccups, where McQueen drinks oil too fast and starts hiccuping. You can only hiccup if you have a diaphragm. You can only have a diaphragm if you have internal organs. So, we have established they have organs. We have established they have brains. But here is where we cross the line from biology into pure body horror. Because if the consciousness is located in a specific part of the car, what happens if you take it out? This brings us to the single most disturbing piece of media Pixar ever produced. It is a deleted storyboard sequence from 2002 called Community Service. And if you think I am reaching, I am not. This was written by the creators. This was the original plan for the movie. In this scene, which is framed as a nightmare, Doc Hudson and the sheriff don't just sentence McQueen to pave the road. They sentence him to surgery. They physically restrain him. And then, in a moment that looks like something out of a Saw movie, they rip his engine block out of his chassis. Now, in our world, if you take an engine out of a car, the car stops. But in their world, the engine is the soul. The engine is the seat of consciousness. When they pull McQueen's V8 engine out, he doesn't die. He is still fully awake. He is fully conscious, but he is dangling in the air, looking down at his own empty red body. And then they do the unthinkable. They take his living consciousness, his engine, and they force it into a different body. They drop him into the heavy, rusted industrial frame of a steamroller. When McQueen wakes up, he isn't fast anymore. He tries to rev his engine, but he is trapped in a slow, lumbering, yellow piece of construction equipment. He screams at the sheriff. He knows who he is. He remembers being a race car. But he is physically incapable of moving faster than 5 miles per hour. He has been surgically altered to become a laborer, but the horror doesn't stop there. While McQueen is trapped in this steamroller body, forced to pave the road against his will, he looks over and sees his old body, his beautiful, shiny, red racing chassis, but it isn't empty. Mater, the tow truck, has taken his own engine and transplanted it into McQueen's body. Mater is now wearing McQueen's skin like a suit. He is driving around, laughing, enjoying the speed, literally stealing McQueen's identity. McQueen screams out, "He stole my body, he stole my life," and then he wakes up. Now I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, Mr. Blessed, it was just a dream sequence. It doesn't count, but you are wrong. It counts because it establishes the rules of the universe. A dream in a movie has to be based on the reality of that world. I can dream about losing my teeth because I actually have teeth to lose. McQueen can dream about his engine being transplanted into a steamroller because in his world, that is a medically possible procedure. This proves that consciousness is not tied to the body. It proves that the government of Radiator Springs, the sheriff and the judge, have the technology and the knowledge to perform forced consciousness transplants. They know how to take a sentient being and shove it into a prison of slow, heavy metal. Now, look at the design of the steamroller McQueen is trapped in during that nightmare. It is heavy, it is yellow, it is industrial, it is slow. Does that remind you of anyone? It should, because in that deleted scene, McQueen was essentially turned into Bessie. And this leads us to the most terrifying realization of all. If McQueen could be forced into a paving machine, fully conscious but unable to escape, then who is inside Bessie right now? Is Bessie a machine? Or is Bessie a person? Is she a former race car? A former criminal? A political prisoner? Someone who crossed Doc Hudson decades ago and was sentenced to the ultimate punishment? Think about the silence. Bessie doesn't speak. But we know McQueen could speak when he was in the steamroller, so why can't she? The answer lies in the surgery. If you wanted to create the perfect slave, the perfect piece of living equipment, you wouldn't just trap them in a heavy body. You would take away their voice. You would weld the windows shut so they couldn't see what they had become. You would leave them in the dark, with nothing but their own thoughts and the boiling heat of the tar. We have proven they have biological organs. We have proven they can transplant consciousness. And we have proven that being turned into a paving machine is a known punishment in this town. But there is one final piece of the puzzle, one final nail in the coffin that proves this isn't just slavery. It is a death sentence. To understand why Bessie is truly the most tragic figure in animation history, we have to look at what happens when these cars actually die. Because they do die. And what happens to their bodies will make you want to vomit. To truly grasp the magnitude of what has been done to Bessie, we have to shatter the last remaining illusion you might have about this universe. We have to destroy the idea that these are immortal, invincible machines. We have to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that in the world of Pixar, flesh rots, bodies decay, and death is not peaceful. If Bessie is a biological prisoner, is she immortal, or is she slowly dying inside that yellow box? To answer this, we have to look at the single most terrifying sequence ever created by Pixar artists. It is a sequence so dark, so visually disturbing, that John Lasseter himself ordered it to be cut from the film because he knew it would traumatize children. It is called The Graveyard of the Lost. In the final movie, when Mac falls asleep and McQueen rolls out of the trailer, he ends up on the highway. It's scary, but it's an adventure. But in the original script, McQueen didn't just hit the highway. He drove off the road. He drove into the deep, dark wilderness surrounding Route 66. And he found something that shouldn't exist. He didn't find a junkyard. A junkyard is where you put trash. He found a mass grave. The concept art shows a foggy, dense forest that looks like something out of a horror movie, and scattered among the trees were the corpses of automobiles. But they weren't just parked, they were mutilated. Trees had grown through their chassis, impaling them. Vines were strangling their axles. The most haunting detail described by the artists was that some of the cars were hanging from the branches. Let that image sit in your mind. A heavy, 2-ton vehicle suspended by its neck from a tree branch, swaying in the wind. That is not natural decay. That is a warning. That is a trophy. In this deleted scene, McQueen is paralyzed with fear. He realizes he is walking through a field of dead bodies. And then, in a moment of pure panic, he crashes through a barbed wire fence. When he tears himself free, he looks down and he realizes he has snagged something on his front bumper. It is the rusted, hollowed-out grille and headlights of a dead car. He is literally wearing the face of a corpse. The script notes described it as an automotive banshee skull. McQueen screams, shaking the dead face off of his own body, and flees into the night. Now, why does this matter for Bessie? Because it proves that the metal shell is not the creature. The metal shell is the skeleton. And when the life inside dies, the skeleton remains. It proves that there is no recycling plant in the sky. When you die in this world, you rot in the woods. And if you think this is just deleted content that doesn't count, look at the sequels. The second movie, which many people ignore, is essentially a snuff film. We see an American agent, Rod Torque Redline, strapped to a torture device. We see him beaten. We see him terrified. And then we see the villains use an electromagnetic pulse to boil his fuel. They don't just break him, they cook him from the inside out. We watch him scream in agony until he explodes. We also see the remains of Leland Turbo, another spy. He wasn't just killed. His body was crushed into a small, dense cube of scrap metal. And then, that cube, his corpse, was mailed to his friends. This establishes a brutal fact about the ecosystem. The bodies of these characters are soft. They can be crushed. They can be tortured. They can be pierced by trees. So, bring this back to Bessie. If the world is this violent to a super spy like Torque Redline, imagine what it does to a piece of industrial equipment that nobody cares about. Bessie isn't just a machine. She is a biological entity that has been stripped of her defenses. She is vulnerable. And the fact that she is covered in rust, the fact that she is dragging a vat of boiling chemicals suggests she is in constant physical pain. If Torque Redline screamed when his fuel boiled, what is Bessie feeling every single day as that tar bubbles inside her gut? We have proven they have anatomy. We have proven they can be lobotomized and reassigned to new bodies. And now, we have proven that they can feel excruciating torture and suffer biological death. But there is one final piece of evidence, one final code that we need to crack. It is right there in her name. It has been staring us in the face for 20 years. And once you translate it, once you understand the medical definition of who Bessie is, you will never be able to look at a Pixar movie the same way again. Get ready, because the truth is about to hurt. We have arrived at the final truth. We have stripped away the paint, opened the hood, and looked at the biological horror inside. But there is one last secret. The smoking gun that ties the homunculus theory, the transplants, and the torture together into a single, undeniable diagnosis. It is hidden in her name. In the official Disney papers, they tell you that BSE stands for Basic Service Equipment. That is the safe, corporate-friendly explanation. It tells you she is just a tool. But in the real world, in the medical journals that the writers of this lore absolutely knew about, BSE stands for something else entirely. BSE stands for bovine spongiform encephalopathy. You know it by its common name, mad cow disease. This is a fatal neurodegenerative disease. It is caused by prions, mangled proteins that attack the brain. They eat away at the nervous tissue, leaving microscopic holes in the gray matter until the brain literally resembles a sponge, hence spongiform. The symptoms of BSE in biological creatures are specific: loss of coordination, aggression, involuntary muscle spasms, and eventually a total loss of higher cognitive function. Now, look at Bessie again. She doesn't speak. She has no higher cognitive function, but she has aggression. When she is agitated, she spasms. She sprays hot fluids violently, and she makes that terrifying bubbling sound that mimics laughter. That isn't a machine working. That is the sound of a biological mind that has been eaten full of holes. But the most disturbing part of mad cow disease isn't the symptoms, it is how you get it. In the 1990s, the world discovered that cattle were getting BSE because of industrial cannibalism. To save money, farmers were feeding cows the ground-up remains of other cows. They forced nature to eat itself, and it created a plague that destroyed the mind. Now, look at the world of cars. We know they drink oil, but in the second movie, there is a massive push for organic fuel, eco-friendly fuel. But ask yourself, in a world where there are no animals and no humans, what is the source of organic matter? It is them. The dead cars in the graveyard aren't just rotting, they are being harvested. They are being ground up and fed back to the living as fuel. And just like in our world, this forced cannibalism has consequences. It creates a prion disease. It creates madness. This explains the tractors. Have you ever wondered why the tractors in this universe act like cows? They are stupid. They moo. They are easily frightened. Why are they the only vehicles without speech? It is because they are the livestock. They are the ones being fed the cheap, tainted fuel. They have been bred to be brain dead, so they can be harvested without guilt. But Bessie? Bessie is what happens when a sentient car, a normal person like you or me, contracts the disease. She wasn't born a paver. She was likely a citizen. Maybe she was a teacher, or a lawyer, or a mother. And then she consumed the wrong fuel. The prions took hold. Her mind began to disintegrate. She started screaming. She started losing control. So, what did the town do? Did they help her? Did they put her out of her misery? No. In Radiator Springs, nothing goes to waste. They performed a mechanical lobotomy. They stripped her of her wheels. They removed her voice box so she couldn't scream anymore. They welded a sheet of metal over her windshield so she couldn't see the world that betrayed her. And they hooked her internal organs up to a vat of boiling tar. They turned her into a beast of burden. The acronym BSE isn't a model number. It is her medical chart. It is a label that marks her as infected. When you see Lightning McQueen dragging her down the road, you aren't watching a chore. You are watching a prisoner dragging a comatose, brain-damaged patient through the streets. And every time she bubbles, every time she spits, it is the last remaining firing neurons of a dying mind trying to express pain. This is the ultimate horror of the Pixar universe. It is a world where the penalty for sickness is slavery. It is the literal embodiment of the famous sci-fi nightmare, I have no mouth and I must scream. Bessie has no mouth, but she has been screaming at us for 20 years. We just thought it was the sound of asphalt bubbling. So the next time you turn on that movie for a hit of nostalgia, remember the expectation versus the reality. You expect a happy town on Route 66. The reality is a post-human graveyard where the survivors drive around in the hollowed-out corpses of their ancestors, fueling themselves on the ground-up remains of their friends, while the sick and the broken are welded into heavy machinery to pave the roads for the healthy. That is the truth about Bessie. And frankly, I don't think I can ever watch that movie again without feeling a chill in my engine. If this deep dive ruined your childhood, good. That means you are paying attention. If you want to see just how deep the rabbit hole goes, you need to watch my video on The Sad Truth About Jackson Storm, where we prove he isn't a villain, he is a victim of planned obsolescence. Or check out The King Didn't Lose, He Escaped, where we break down the conspiracy behind the Piston Cup. I am Mr. Blessed. Drive safe, and for the love of God, check your fuel source. Peace.